Hello, family. I'm Kiana Hines. Am I recording? Yes. Welcome back to Nourishment 101. This is If this is your first time on my channel, then you'll realize that I'm very impromptu. I can't do scripted videos. I do have to say what I feel when I feel it because it's coming from a place of I'll just say it's coming from a place other than the surface. It's coming from my gut. It's coming from my intuition. And I just like to share things that I know. I don't like to study and research things and then try to share it with you because it doesn't come organically. And I feel like organic things can be felt. So I want to share my experiences and thoughts with you today about the topic is discipline. And I just want you to know how important how important it is to be disciplined on this journey to find whatever it is that you seek. And many of you, if you're on my channel, you're here looking for ways to be better, to eat healthier, to think better, to rise above your animal nature. You're looking for something more than the average day-to-day work experience. You're looking for something that satisfies you, that goes beyond the power that you feel when you have money, because that can get old. And if you've ever had a lot of money, you realize at the end you have to put it all back in the box. You don't get to keep it. Yeah, it can stay in your family, but if the numbers get transposed, then it's gone. It's like that's not real. It's an illusion. The money that we have is backed by our faith in it, not by anything else, because it's certainly not backed by gold. But that's a whole nother story. Today we're going to talk about discipline. And I just want you to understand how important it is in your awakening to be disciplined, to be able to rise above the nature of instinct. Because animals, they operate from a lower nature, a beastly nature, where if they're hungry, they're going to go on a hunt. Okay? You have the ability to transform that hunger into satisfaction just by thoughts. You can be satiated by just imagining that you have food. Your mind controls every body function you have, but most of us are too weak to control our body. And that's because we don't have a discipline. Discipline allows you to pay attention to things like your breathing. And then you learn how to control your breathing, you can control almost every bodily function. There are movements that your body makes through space that can generate energy and can generate control. There are sounds that you can say or sing, tones that can initiate some sort of reaction of control. There's so many different elements that we can use that nature and the earth and the atmosphere provides, but we don't know how to take advantage of it. So today I just want to talk to you about the importance of learning how to discipline yourself and being aware of what you do to yourself. Taking in certain energies can either set you back or they can excel you on the path that you're on. So, for example, what am I talking about? Music. Music is very powerful. Matter of fact, in the beginning was the Word. What was the Word? It could be any word. Any word is sound, whether you hear it in your head or whether you speak it out loud. It's still sound. But the certain sounds they can, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not initiate, it's not facilitate, it's elicit. certain responses to physical objects. For example, there's this guy on YouTube. He is no longer with us because soon after he found this invention, he was an older gentleman. I think his name was Davy something, but I'll post it in the video underneath here once I'm done. But he discovered just by playing around with an out of tune instrument, I think it was a saxophone he was playing, and it was out of tune. And he started to see that his water in his glass was boiling when he hit one of the notes. So he investigated it a little bit more, and this time he started doing it intentionally. He saw that sound boils water. Not only does it boil water, it can freeze water. Not only can it freeze water, but in somatics, they found that sound can also it can change the shape of physical objects. It can travel through almost anything. This is something very powerful. Sound can travel through brick walls. It can travel through your human body. And what does it leave behind when it travels through? The wrong sounds can fry you from the inside out. They can freeze up your blood vessels. They can levitate things. Like sound, there's not many things that it can't do. So the power of sound needs to be recognized first and foremost. And more than anything is the sound that your body hears from its creator, from its master. You're the master. What thoughts are you telling yourself? Because just because you don't say something out loud doesn't mean that your cells can't hear, because they're hardwired to your brain and they're hardwired to your heart. So when you speak from your heart versus your head, you get a different response. You get a different reaction from your body. When you learn to speak from your heart, then it is from a more centered and loving and balanced place. So you can balance yourself out and heal yourself when you start to speak from your heart. But when you're speaking from your head, that means that you're allowing thoughts that are not even yours, that come from the outside, to affect your physical being. And if you agree to it, that is sending a message to all of your body parts to match that frequency of that agreement. So if you agree that you're ugly, that you're fat, that you're stupid, no good, all of these things, that affects the blood in your body. Your blood, it travels everywhere. It's like the rivers. They find their way to the ocean. And the ocean uses the rivers to deliver deposits and things that are essential to your cells and to the tissues and organs in your body. So just as those words travel, you have to see it on the outside sometimes to know what's on the inside. And that's why I give you these examples, because your body is of the earth. It is like the earth, and the rivers are like the blood vessels and the arteries in your body. Okay? Everything that's on the outside is on the inside. The outside is just an illusion. And that's just because you haven't began to understand how you're creating in your dream state. When you realize that you are not just what you imagine yourself to be, but you're also the person that's doing the imagining, then you begin to wake up out of your dream state and you take your place as generator, operator, and dissolver, which is an acronym for God. But every God has a name. All you have to do is insert yours in. But just getting back to understanding how sound works. The power is in the word, okay? And the intention. Words are so powerful. Words can create and words can destroy. You can destroy a person as a child without even having to lay a hand on them, just by what you tell them. And so if you can make certain agreements with yourself by positive affirmations and thoughts to yourself, that is breaking the spell. Because we go to school when we're very young and we learn how to spell. And when we learn how to spell, we are learning how to cast spells on ourselves and cast spells on other people. This is grammar school. And if you look at Latin language and words, you will know the meaning behind these words that I'm telling you. If you don't believe me, just go look in the dictionary at something like the word bad. Okay? See, we were taught in school to look at the first definition of a word and stop there. Maybe we might go to the second, and very rarely do we go to the third. But when you go to the origin, then you realize that the word bad, the frequency of it, means feminine. It's feminine, like in nature. It means female acting. So when Michael Jackson is going around saying, "You know I'm bad, you know it," and his whole demeanor turns into more like a feminish male. This is a spell that he casted on himself. We all do it all day long, okay? But you do need to know the origin of the words that you use, and you need to have use them with intention. There's this actually, there's this scientist. I don't know if you can see this. Masuro Emoto. He's Japanese, and he made this video called "The Hidden Messages in Water." I don't know if you realize, but water, it contains the ability to it. Oh my gosh, water has the ability to retain information from however long information has been put in it. And when I say information, everything that has touched water, it creates like this print of, this fingerprint of, and it retains that information, and it duplicates it. So it can hold more information than any computer we have on earth. Water is the liquid version of the Akashic records. Everything that has ever come out of the water, even when we're young, when we're being made, we are in water, in the womb. There's no place water does not go. And water is essential for just about every life form on earth. I don't know one that it's not essential for. But even cats don't like to be in water, but they have to drink it. So there's this thing about water, the hidden messages in water, that Masaru Emoto, an experiment that he ran. He would put messages on water from the same source, and then he would freeze the water to a certain temperature, and as it's thawing, he would have this special camera take pictures of the crystal and form of the water as it is unfreezing. And at a certain point in that process, he can see the effect that the words had on the water, whether it was written on the outside of the glass or whether it was spoken to the water. So there is a certain thing as holy water. When it has been prayed over and people put positive thoughts into it, it becomes holy, it becomes whole. But you can kill water too. You put negative thoughts in water, or you have it going through all of these different pipe systems where it's having to make these right angles, and it's unnatural for water to be in. It can be dead before it even reaches your cup. So everything is living. Everything is part of this whole organism. Earth, when you begin to wake up, you begin to feel her. You can feel her speaking to you. You can feel her talking, holding you, guiding you, embracing you. and it does feel like a mother. It is feminine in nature, but we do need masculine energy, which comes from the sun also, and it has its place. It's all about balance. And the more that you understand how to discipline yourself, the more you can go from one extreme to the next, and you begin to understand that you don't have to look at the world in opposites or in poles. You can find the middle ground in almost anything because everything can be balanced. So, temperature, hot and cold, for example, there's warm. You have up and down, then there's always a middle ground. You have right or left. That's like up and down. You have good and bad, and then you also have someone who's like not taking any sides because they understand that good and bad resides in everyone. You are who how would you have any experience without, how could you know one from the other if you weren't both? You wouldn't even have a concept of what good and bad is if you had not experienced both good and bad at one point. And then you learn that you need both of them. There are going to be some things that are good for you that may be bad for someone else. Doesn't mean that you're wrong or they're wrong. It just means that you both, that you're different. And that should be respected and appreciated, because seeing people as different helps you understand what you are and what you are not. Helps you discipline yourself to learn who you want to be. If everybody walked around like you, how would you know what it meant to be anything other than what you saw yourself as? We have the opportunity to grow here. We have the opportunity to have willpower, to change, to morph, to transform. Take advantage of that. That's called experience. It's something that's essential for your growth, and it should be appreciated. You should be talking to your younger self, which is who you were yesterday, because every day you become wiser and better. And you should look back at yourself yesterday when you made that bad decision and say, it's okay, I got you today. You're the older, wiser version of yourself. Every single second, every single decision that you make that's different from what you made yesterday, and you have the opportunity to do something different and to change and to take things to a higher ground. And so I know this video is running over. Oh my God, I always do this. But that's what happens when I don't have a script. Discipline is essential. It's essential. When you discipline yourself, you can begin to control the creations that you make. And you're creating every step of the way, whether you know it or not. But yes, I guess I'll have to do a second part to this video that goes more into the hidden messages in water. They do have that on Netflix, I think, or Hulu or Gaia. One of them is definitely on YouTube. So look up messages in water, water experiments. Your body is made up of 80 to 90% water. It should be. If you're dehydrated, you're going to be more like about 50, 60%. But the more water you have in your body, the more information you can hold. The more fat you have in your body, the less water concentration you'll have, because water can exist where there's more fat, and you'll find that when you lose weight, you're able to retain more water. And there's no substitution for it, not tea, not coffee, not anything. But definitely speak messages to yourself, because that water inside of you is active, it's living, and it can transform at any time with the power of your words and sound, because the medium, sound is the medium for water. There was water in the beginning, and there was sound, and even the air you breathe is water. It just, your fish in water at all times, whether you see it as liquid or gas or solid. It can take any state. Um, but again, I guess I'll make a part two to this. If you have any questions, post them below. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for listening to me rant. And thanks for the comments and the love and the support. I appreciate you all, and I will talk to you next time.